All right, our essential question is, can I solve absolute value equations and inequalities? So the vocab that you need to worry about today is called absolute value. Now, sorry about my handwriting, but writing on this iPad is kind of a pain. So absolute value means the distance from 0. So here's an example. Absolute value, that's what these signs represent, of -2 equals, so let's find out. Let's use a number line. I have 0 here, to -2, so -1, -2. In order to go from 0 to -2, you have to go to the left twice. Okay, so that means my answer is going to be a 2. Now let's try another example. So let's try the absolute value of +2. Now these are not 1s, these are absolute values, so I'm going to make them a little bit bolder so you won't confuse it with a 1. So let's draw a number line. I'm going to start at 0, 1, 2. Well, it goes to the right too, so my absolute value of 2 is also 2. So the absolute value of the negative and the positive number is going to give you a positive answer. No matter what the situation is, you're always going to have the positive answer of that number. So let's try a problem. In this slide, I'm going to give you an example. So let's have 2 absolute value of x minus 5 plus 6 equals 4. Okay, so we got a couple steps here. We have that 2 in front of the absolute value, which is these signs again, plus 6 equals 4. Now you have to think of that absolute value as a wall, so you cannot distribute that 2. So the first step I'm going to do is that I'm going to move the 6 over. How am I going to move that? Well, this is adding 6, so the inverse operation is subtracting 6 to both sides. So now we have -2 equals 2 absolute value of x minus 5. Okay, so we're getting closer. So now we have this 2 in front. In order to get rid of that, we're not going to subtract it because we don't have a plus sign in the middle. This is acting as a multiplication, so I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. Now, a lot of mistakes is you try to divide it underneath the x minus 5. Don't do that. You only need to do it once on each side. So this cancels out. So now I have absolute value of x minus 5 equals -1. All right, so we're almost done. So in the first slide, I told you that no matter if you take the positive or the negative version, you're always going to get 2 answers. So because of that, you're also going to have 2 answers when you solve. So here's the first situation. You're going to have x minus 5 equals -1. And the second situation would be x minus 5 equals +1. And you're going to solve each of them separately. So you're going to add 5 on both sides. So you now have x equals 4. And x equals 6. And you are done. That is how you solve that problem. Let's do another example. So let's try absolute value of x minus 8 divided by 3 equals 9. Okay, so right now we don't have a plus or minus outside, so we don't have to subtract or add anything, but we have this dividing by 3. Well, what's the inverse operation of dividing by 3? Multiplying. So I'm going to multiply 3 on both sides. So now I have 27 is equal to absolute value of x minus 8 equals 27. Now we have this absolute value, so that means we're going to have 2 answers. So our first choice is going to be x minus 8 equals 27, and our second option is going to be x minus 8 equals -27. Remember, you're always going to have 2 answers. Now add 8 to both sides. So x is going to equal to 35. Add 8 to both sides. And x also equals negative 19. Okay. Let's try a word problem, get this out of the way. So for this problem, it's the temperature of the wave pool at Sapphire Island can vary up to 4.5 degrees Fahrenheit from the target temperature of 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Write and solve an absolute value equation to find the temperature extremes of the wave pool. So why don't we go through this problem? So our goal is to write, solve an absolute value equation. We know that it varies up to 4.5 degrees. So vary 4.5 degrees. And then we know that the target temperature is 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so absolute value right here and an equal sign. So our goal is that we wanted to get from the target temperature. So we have the temperature, we're going to call temperature T. We're going to subtract it by 82 because it's either from the original amount and equal 4.5 degrees. And you're going to solve for T just like we did on the previous problem. Okay. So in this case, we're going to have T minus 82 is going to equal 4.5, and T minus 82 is going to equal negative 4.5. Solving for T, just add 82 to both sides. So now you're going to have T is going to equal to 86.5 degrees Fahrenheit. And T is also going to equal 77.5 degrees Fahrenheit. That's it. Easy word problem. Okay. Alright, so let's do one with an inequality. So now I have the absolute value of 2x plus 3 plus 5 greater than 8. Okay, so now we have this 5 outside of the inequality and inside of the absolute value, so now I need to subtract 5 on both sides. So now I have 3 on the right, so now we have absolute value of 2x plus 3 is greater than 3. So now we need to solve for x, so we're going to have two answers. So our first one's going to be 2x plus 3, going to be greater than 3. And our second situation is going to be 2x plus 3 is less than negative 3. Now you have to flip the sign when you change it to a negative. So solving for x on both sides, subtract 3 on both sides. So I have 2x greater than 0, so x must be greater than 0. And on the other side, 2x is less than negative 6, so x must be less than negative 3.